Hey guys, Mr. Pusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. Excuse me. We are continuing more factoring with Chapter 10, and we are in 10.5 Day 2. Let's read the name of the lesson. Ready? Name of the lesson. Ready? 1, 2, 3. General factoring. Essential question. Ready? 1, 2, 3. How do we do general factoring with negatives? Okay, so if you have not yet, before you get onto this lesson, I would really encourage you to look at 10.5 Day 1. And also, if you're a little hazy with how to find factors, like we're going to be doing in this lesson, I would also look at the, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like how to factor video that was on, it was attached to the 10.1 Day 1 lesson, okay? I recorded a video to help you guys remember how to do that. You guys are also going to want to use your factors and multiples table. That's going to help you figure out the factors too, but I'll probably try to walk you through maybe the first one, like to show you how we would do our factors, okay? All right. So we are factoring using general factoring, which means we're trying to undo, it's like we're trying to go the opposite direction of FOIL. FOIL is where we're distributing. Factoring is like we're dividing, but we're not really dividing. We're kind of like finding things that make it, we're kind of guessing and checking that like what the original binomials would be to make FOIL work, okay? So that's kind of what factoring is. We're going the opposite direction, and we do it kind of in a special way here, okay? So let's get to it. We're gonna do all the odds, and then you guys can try all the evens on your own in this video, okay? So number one, we have x squared plus 3x minus 54. So if you notice from day one, we had all positives here. This would be plus 54 if we were doing these in the previous lesson. But that's not always going to be the case with factoring. Sometimes you're going to have to factor numbers where this is negative or this is negative, okay? Either the B or C is negative. And so it's pretty much the same process. It just takes a little bit more skill and perseverance to figure out what's going to work, because you're going to have more combinations because of that positive and negative values here, okay? But same thing we're going to do before. We're going to make our diamond, or our X. Okay, we're going to put C on top, which is negative 54 in this case. I'm going to move this over, actually, sorry. We're going to move this over here. Go like this, and this. Negative 54, and 3. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to find the factors of negative 54. Okay, not positive 54, of negative 54, which means we're going to have, how do you get, so if we multiply two numbers, if I multiply like 2 times 2, that equals positive 4, right? And if I multiply negative 3 times negative 3, that's positive 9. How do we end up with a negative when we multiply? We need one or both numbers to be what? Well, not one or both numbers. We need one or the other number to be negative, right? So if we did like 2 times negative 10, that's going to equal negative 20. So here's a trick for you. If you have a C value that is negative, that means that you're going to have one positive and one negative. So if you have C equals negative, that means we need one positive and one negative. Okay? That's really kind of sloppy. I don't really like that. But yeah, this is basically just like trying to find the factors of negative 54, okay? So whatever numbers multiply to make negative 54, you're going to need one number or the other number to be negative for that to work. Okay? So what are some numbers of negative 54? Well, we have 1 and negative 54, and we also have negative 1 and positive 54. Okay, see how now we have two different numbers? So this is why it's a little bit trickier, because now we have two combinations that work. We have, because 1 times negative 54 is negative 54, and negative 1 times positive 54 is 54. All right, so there's more combinations. So let's find the factors of 54. Excuse me. So why don't we, I'm going to do 54, and I'm going to work my way up the numbers. I'm going to divide by 2, and I get 27. Is that a factor if it comes out to positive 27 or 27? It is. And so the way you tell, when factors are numbers that go into other numbers evenly, okay? So what that means is when I divide by 2, I should not get a decimal. If I get a decimal, that means that number doesn't go into that number, right? If I divide, let's do 54 divided by 17, for example. I got 3.17647, and that goes on forever, okay? What that means is 17 is not a factor of 54. It does not go into 54 nicely, okay? But 2 does, because it came out to a whole number, so we're going to have 2 and negative 27 or negative 2 and positive 27. We need both combinations. Now I'm going to do 54 divided by 3. 54 divided by 3 on my calculator. I get 18, so I need 3 and negative 18 and negative 3. Oops, that was sloppy. Negative 3 and positive 18. I need both combinations. And this is you're only going to do both combinations if you have a negative C value. Okay? All right, let's do 54 divided by 4. And I got 13.5, so 4 does not go into 54, which is a good thing to know. 54 divided by 5. What do you guys think? Is 54 going to divide by 5 or no? It's not, because it's not doesn't end in 0 or 5, so that's not going to work. 54 divided by 6. Yep, I got 6 and negative 9 or negative 6 and positive 9. And then I got 54 divided by 7. That's a decimal, doesn't work. 54 divided by 8 is also a decimal, doesn't work. 54 divided by 9. Well, it's 9 divided. We could do 9 and negative 6 again, but look at that. Don't we already have that there? We already have this and this. We already have 9 and negative 6. So we actually, once we list the numbers twice, once you start getting from this column back to this column, that's when you can stop. That's when you can stop listing stuff here, okay? Okay, so this first one was kind of tricky because there's a lot of factors. We need to find which of these, all of these, is going to add up to positive 3. So here's a trick for you. If this number down here is pretty small, the numbers have to be pretty close together. What I mean by that is 154. What's 1 plus negative 54? That's going to be negative 53. That's really far apart. So it's probably not going to be it's not going to be these numbers that are really far apart because they're not going to work. And then negative 1 plus 54 is positive 53, which is way far apart from 3. So we're probably going to try, if we try this one right here, 3 plus negative 18 is negative 15, still pretty far apart. Let's try 6 and negative 9. What's 6 plus negative 9? That is negative 3, right? So that's close, but this is negative 3. We want positive 3, so what are we going to try instead? We're going to do negative 6 and positive 9. Does that work? Does that equal 3? That does. So negative 6 and positive 9. Okay? I'll keep that, actually. So our final answer is not just negative 6 and 9. It's going to be in parentheses x minus 6, because it's a negative 6 right here, okay? And then x plus 9. And for your reference, the reason why we're doing this and what happens when you actually, if you FOIL this, you're going to get, I'm going to just FOIL this really quick. X times x is x squared. X times 9 is positive 9x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And negative 6 times 9 is negative 54. And then these combine, they're like terms. You get x squared plus 3x minus 54. See how we got the same thing here as we did originally? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to guess if we unfoil, we're trying to guess which FOIL would actually work, okay? And this would be the original binomials. When you multiply them together, you're going to get the original, okay? So, a little tricky when you have a negative C value, because you have to do both combinations, but, yeah, so that's how we do that. I just got an email, sorry, I got distracted. Okay, next, let's move on to another example. Now, this one, we have a squared minus 10a plus 24, so we're going to make our diamond again. Oops, that was sloppy. We're going to put positive 24 and negative 10. Okay? So we're going to look for factors of 24. Factors of 24. All right, but here's a tricky thing, okay? We need to multiply to positive 24, but we need them to add to negative. We need them to add to a negative. So if I did, for example, a factor of 24 would be like 6 and 4. But what's 6 plus 4? Is that negative 10? That is not. Actually, if we have a positive C value and a middle B value that's negative, these both have to be negative because they need to multiply to a positive. 2 negatives multiply to a positive, and 2 negatives add to a negative. Okay? So that's kind of tricky too. So if you have a C value is positive, but the B value is negative, they're going to be 2 negative numbers. All right? So, 24. Let's find factors of 24. So we always have 1 and 24, but in this case it's going to be negative 1 and negative 24. We don't need to flip them or anything because that's the negative 24 and negative 1 is the same thing as negative 1 and negative 24. They're the same numbers. So all right. What else goes into 24? Let's take our calculator and start dividing. 24 divided by 2 is 12, so we're going to have negative 2 and negative 12. I would just put 2 and 12, but we need negatives, so that's why I put negative there. 24 divided by 3 is 8, so we got negative 3 and negative 8. 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. 24 divided by 5 is 4.8. That doesn't work. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So now we're going back to, if we were to list this again, we'd have negative 6 and negative 4. We don't need to do that because it's already listed right here. Okay, so now what we need is we need the right combination that's going to add to negative 10. So again, this number's not too, it's not too small. Negative 10 is not too small, but let's try to add some numbers here. What's negative 1 plus negative 24? That's going to be negative 25. That's not going to work. Negative 2 plus negative 12 is negative 14. That's not going to work. Negative 3 plus negative 8 is negative 11. That's not going to work. And negative 4 plus negative 6 is going to be negative 10. So this is the one we want. So we're going to put negative 4 and negative 6. Okay, and our answer is not going to be negative 4 and negative 6. It's going to be a minus 4 times a minus 6. And if you were to FOIL that, you get back to this original problem right here, which is correct. Okay? All right. Okay. Let's do 2 more. All right, so now we have v squared plus v minus 20. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do our diamond. Got negative 20, and we got, what's the b for this one? It's just one. It's just a v, right? It's actually going to be a 1. Okay, it's going to be a 1 right there. All right, we need factors of negative 20, things that multiply to negative 20. So we got 1, and also, are we going to have both positive, both negative, or 1 of each for this one? What do you guys think? The only way to get a negative by multiplication is if one or the other is negative. So we need to do one negative, one negative, one positive. So we got 1 and negative 20, or negative 1 and positive 20. Okay, let's use our calculator again. 20 divided by 2 equals 10. So we got 2 and negative 10, or negative 2 and positive 10. Because 2 times negative 10 is negative 20, and negative 2 times 10 is also negative 20. Okay, so negative c value, remember, you're going to have 2 combinations there. Let's do 20 divided by 3. That shouldn't work. That is a decimal, so 20 does not divide by 3. 3 is not a factor of 20. 20 divided by 4 is 5, so we have 4 and negative 5, and negative 4 and positive 5. And then 20, if we do 20 divided by 5, that's just doing the same thing as we just did. We're going to get 5 and 4 again, but we already have the 5 and 4s right here, so we don't need to do that. Okay, so these are all the factors of negative 20. And after a while, guys, you should be able to just start guessing. You can just plug in numbers here and just guess. You don't need to list these out every time, okay? I'm actually going to, probably this last example, and we're not going to list them all out. We're just going to start guessing and checking a little bit, because this takes a while to list out all the factors. I might even do one more example with you to make sure you guys know how to do it without the listing out the factors, okay? Because that's what we want to get to, is just getting to a part where we can just guess and check what numbers are going to work. So, we need numbers that add to positive 1. So, this is 1 and negative 20 is going to be negative 19. That's way far apart. 2 and negative 10 is going to equal negative 8. That's pretty far apart. 4 and negative 5 is negative 1. Close, but it's negative 1. We could just flip it. Then negative 4 plus 5 is going to be positive 1. So, we're going to have negative 4 and 5. So, we're going to have, in parentheses, v minus 4 times v plus 5. Okay? All right, we're going to do 2 more together, and then we will, we'll probably do 7 and 8 together, and then you guys will try the rest on your own. And we're going to do 7 and 8 the quicker way without guessing and checking so much. Okay? All right, so we need factors of negative 12 that add to negative 4. Okay, so I'm not even going to list out all the factors. I'm just going to start guessing and checking. What multiplies to negative 12? What multiplies to negative 12? Well, I can do 1 and negative 12. Is that going to work? What's 1 plus negative 12? Is that going to equal negative 4? No, it's going to be negative 11. What else multiplies to 12? We got negative 3 and 4. That also doesn't work. That's going to add to 1. So this is how you should attempt these problems when you get to a more advanced state with this stuff, guys. You just kind of start guessing and checking and erasing and trying more problems, okay? What about 2 and 6? Can we get negative 4 from 2 and 6? Actually, you know what's a good idea, guys? Is don't even put the negatives in right away. Just put 3 and 4 and see if you can get this number by changing the signs on either of these, okay? And then go from there. All right, so we have 2 and 6. Can we get 4 from adding or subtracting 2 and 6? We can. Now, which one should be negative 2 or 6 to end up with negative 4? It should be negative 6. And the way you can tell that is if this number is whatever this number is, it means the bigger number needs to be that sign because it's going to overpower the other number. So because this is negative 6 and it's negative 4, negative 6 plus 2, negative 6 is going to overpower this 2. And it's going to make it more negative. So there's our answer. We got x plus 2 times x minus 6. Okay? So that's the shorter cut. I want to do a few examples with the factoring to make sure we're still good with that, but now we're going to start doing these. The rest of these problems we're going to do with just guess and check, okay? All right, let's do number 8, and I'll let you guys try a couple on your own. So we're doing our diamond. Shoot. Got negative 50 and negative 5. Okay, we need some factors of 50. Well, we got 1 and 50. Now, those are really far apart. We can't get negative 5. We can't get 5 from 1 and 50. What else goes in 50? We got 2 and 25. That's not going to work. That's going to be too far apart. What about 5 and 10? Can we get negative 5 from 5 and 10? We can. Now, which one should be negative? If we add 5 and 10, which one should be negative to end up with negative 5? The 5 or the 10? What do you guys think? It's going to be negative 10. Because then we're going to have negative 10 plus 5 is going to equal negative 5. If we had a negative on the 5, that would be positive 5. Okay? Hopefully you guys see that. So our final answer is going to be n plus 5 times n minus 10. See, that's a lot easier instead of listing out all the factors. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to zoom out here. Why don't you guys try 2, 4, and 6 on your own, and then we'll do the rest. If you watch the rest of this video, we'll do the rest the shortcut way, okay? All right, welcome back. Let's go ahead and do number 2. So we're doing our diamond. We got negative 35 and 2. So we need factors, things that multiply to negative 35 and add to 2. Well, we got 1 and 35. I'm not even going to list it out. We know 1 and 35 is too far apart. It's not going to work. What else multiplies to 35? We only got 5 and 7. Can we get 2 from adding or subtracting 5 and 7? We can. And which number is going to be negative, the 5 or the 7? What do you guys think? It's going to be a negative 5 because that's going to end. This is more positive, which means the bigger number needs to be positive. Okay? So our final answer is going to be P minus 5 times, oops, that's an N. Dang it. P plus 7. Okay. Let's use a nice little purple here. All right, again, going like this. This one's actually very similar to the last one. We got negative 35 and negative 2. Well, the last one we had was positive 2 up here. This one's going to be negative 2, so we're probably going to use 5 and 7 again. Which one's going to be negative, though? To end up with positive 2, we had negative 5. To end up with negative 2, we're going to have negative 7. So our final answer is going to be m plus 5 times m minus 7. All right. Last example. Let's use a nice light blue here. Now we have r squared plus r minus 30. So we got negative 30. We got 1 for our b. Our b is 1 here. There's nothing in front of the r. Okay, we need factors of negative 30 that add to 1. So these numbers have to be pretty close to end up with 1. They have to be numbers that are right side by side to each other. what numbers multiply to 30 that are right, like 8 and 7, or 12 and 13? Which numbers are right side by side that are going to give us a 1 when we add them? Hopefully you said 5 and 6. Now, which number is going to be negative if we end up with a negative to multiply here? Which one's going to be negative if we're going to end up with positive 1 down here? We're going to have a negative 5 because this number needs to be more positive to overpower to make it more positive. So our answer is going to be r minus 5 is r plus 6. I think that should work. Hopefully I didn't make any goofs. I did these all just on the fly here, so hopefully I didn't goof any up. I'm pretty sure I did okay. Okay, so hopefully that shortcut is a little bit easier. I want to get in the habit of showing you still the factor way to do it, but try doing the shortcut. Don't even just list out all the factors. Just list, like, if we're doing factors of 12, just list 2 and 6, and see if you can get this number down here by adding or subtracting, changing these to negative or positive or whatever, and trying to get that number at the bottom, okay? Yeah, so basically you want to figure out what number, if we had 42 up here and 14 or something, you want to figure out what numbers are going to multiply to the top and add to the bottom. You can just guess and check. So we got 6 and 7. That's not going to work. That's 13. You know what I mean? If you add or subtract them. All right? All right, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.